Welcome to Lifecycle Marketing and New Age Amenity Packages. Introducing our speakers, Kainoa Clark, Chief Marketing Officer at the Wasatch Group, Mike Wolber, Chief Revenue Officer at Rent Dynamics, Stacy Stemen, SVP of Corporate Marketing at Passco Companies, and Travis Block, Vice President of Marketing and Branding at Golub and Company.
Awesome. Thank you, everybody, for being here. To get things started, as marketers, I'd say most of us spend a lot of time talking about our products or our portfolios, but very rarely do we talk about ourselves. So we'd love for each one of you just to share who you are and a couple unique things about yourself or the portfolio you represent.
You want me to start?
Yeah, let's go.
All right. I'm Kainoa Clark. I recognized very early on, I'm wearing the same coat in my picture, so I'm very on brand. By raise of hand, who has seen a poopery or squatty potty YouTube video? Okay, most people. Well, that was me and my team early on in my career. We created some really fun YouTube videos, and we were one of the first advertisers on the YouTube platform.
Okay, my name is Stacy Stemen. As you heard, I think that might have been Anna or Christina announcing us. So exciting. We forgot to do something, though. We got a teaser. So we're actually going to take a picture of you for once. Have you ever had that happen? No. You're always taking funny pictures of us from weird angles, and then we have to like throw them all away. So we're going to take a picture of you. So get ready. Fix your hair, put your sunglasses, whatever. And then this is a teaser for the end of the session. So get ready. Okay, everybody. Right. We're going to say the word shambool, and you're going to find out what this means later, too. Okay, 1, 2, 3, shambool. All right, awesome. Okay, my name is Stacy. They already said what I did. I'm SVP of Marketing and Business Development for Passco Companies. We're a local commercial real estate investor, primarily focused on Class A multifamily. But enough about that. I actually have a very diverse background. I didn't start in real estate. I actually started in nonprofit. I worked for the American Red Cross, moved into hospitality, and actually worked for Hyatt Hotels for several years. And then I got into the fitness industry and then moved into real estate, which all has helped build who I am in my marketing career today.
Hi, everyone. I'm Travis Block, VP of Marketing and Branding at Golub and Company. I'm known as the multifamily walking encyclopedia, right? I grew up in the industry. My boyfriend works in the industry. My mom works in the industry. And really, it literally is my day-to-day passion. I started as a groundskeeper. I worked all the way up through groundskeeper, leasing agent, maintenance tech, assistant property manager, and really just flourished in the marketing realm within multifamily.
Awesome. And my name is Mike Wolber, proudly representing the Rent Dynamics team, and we've got a really fun session lined up for everybody. We're going to be talking about lifecycle marketing and new age amenity packages. Stacy kind of alluded to it, but we've got 2 surprises at the end, so please stay seated. And to kick things off, actually really quick, this is a QR code that links to a landing page that our marketing team designed. It's going to have notes from today's session, and it's going to have some actionable takeaways from our panel. So whether you're grabbing it now or after the session, and you know us, we'll make sure to hit you with an email as well. So let's kick off with just setting the table. Kainoa, let's start with you. What does lifecycle marketing mean to you?
Yeah, to back it up a little bit before I answer this question, I find it really interesting. I'm also from outside the industry, and to hear Travis talk about working from a groundskeeper up to where he is today, it's so unique in this industry to see the experience that people are able to grow in the multifamily space. And so I think sometimes we undersell ourselves in the industry that we're in. I know when I was first being recruited to work in multifamily, I was like, I'm good. I've got a great gig. I don't know anything about multifamily, but it just didn't seem exciting to me until I got into it and until I met the people who are passionate about it. And so I'm really excited to be talking about the multifamily space and marketing today. Lifecycle marketing, to me, is every touch point in the resident journey. From the moment they become a prospect to the moment they get in and sign a lease to the day that they leave. As a marketer, I'm looking at every touch point I have with this individual and thinking, how am I going to make this person, this resident, an advocate for me and my business? And so am I providing the right experiences for them? Am I making sure that I'm getting the right feedback from them, utilizing technology, making sure that I'm creating opportunities for them to become an advocate along the way? I want them to fall in love with the Wasatch way that we do things. And I have an incredible team that helps us do that. But it's important that I'm turning our residents into advocates for our brand. And I think when we think of life cycle marketing, sometimes we just think of the beginning and the end, but it's the in-between that really matters, right? And so what are the touch points along the way that we're watching? For us at Wasatch, that is every service request they send in. That is every community event that we have. That is every email or text blast that they receive. It's every time they get on the website and log into their resident portal. It is every single touch point. So we evaluate those as often as possible to make sure that we're giving opportunity for our residents to become advocates for our brand.
One of the really cool things that I got excited about prepping for today is that everyone on stage is an owner. And I think there's a really unique perspective there alone. Stacy, I know you have a little bit of a different perspective of what life cycle means to you.
It's funny, when I saw the word life cycle, I automatically thought, from an owner's standpoint, we think of it as from point of acquisition to the point of disposition and everything in between. The ROI, the NOI, from an owner's perspective, from the point that we look at a property, we look at the amenities that are included, all of the tech stack that is included in that property. Does that make sense for us, for our investors, and for the long haul in this property? Our average hold time is about 5.4 years. That's as of recent. It used to be 7 to 10 years, which I have a feeling we're all going back to with the way that interest rates are, the way that the market is. I have a feeling we're going to hold on to them a little bit longer. So if that's the case, we really need to, number one, vet the companies that are coming to us very, very extensively, figure out, is that the right decision? You look at these tech products, right? You look at the EV charging stations, you look at the smart home components. Is this going to add value to our properties in the long run? When we go to sell this property, are we going to make money off of that? Is it going to increase the value of this property? So it's an interesting thing because I polled my entire team. I looked at our acquisition side, I pulled our due diligence team, our asset managers, and it's funny because everybody had kind of a different view on what life cycle meant. And I know that the normal terminology is exactly what Kainoa explained in, you look at how to get the resident in, how their interactions are, what amenities are you looking at for their lease term, right? So it's a unique perspective. So the advice I give out there, because I know most people here are either, there's owner groups out there, property managers, there's vendors that want to get into ownership groups. How do you go about doing that? And it's really providing the value that we see in the long haul. So I think that's kind of my feedback for the audience today.
And Travis, from your perspective, when I think about you, I think about technology and I think about brand. What's your perspective as it relates to life cycle and marketing?
Yeah, I think it's really that top to bottom funnel experience, right? The minute they're getting targeted for an ad, all the way to the minute they're walking through the door, and it's that same cohesive experience.
So when I think about it, HubSpot is a company that I love to consume marketing from. And Brian Halligan, former CEO, now chairman, he introduced this really cool topic called a flywheel, and really killing the funnel and investing all of your energy into your customers. And when you do that, your marketing improves. And it's something that I think of when we start talking about life cycle marketing. It's not just top to bottom. It's really that flywheel, that momentum effect that I think is compelling and easy to align with as well. And when I first had the opportunity to meet Kainoa, it was actually on my podcast. And he said a quote to me that really frames the next section really well. Experience creates belief, and belief influences action. And as we talk about life cycle marketing, I really want to hone in on what it looks like to make the wow factor. And Travis, let's start here with you.
Yeah, I think the wow factor is really this combination of digital and brand experience, right? So the minute you're getting targeted for that ad, the ad copy, the creative, that easily flows into that website, transitioning away from those templated websites to creating these websites that are customizable, that show these stories. What is it like to live at your community, right? Looking at the photo gallery, the lifestyle photography, can you see yourself living at that community? Is it showing a glimpse of what it's like to live there? All the way down to creating seamless and frictionless customer experiences, partnering with prop tech companies, using AI, making sure the customer can easily schedule an appointment, right? And then flowing that all the way down to that on-site experience, that's that wow factor.
Okay, I'm gonna just take you right into the car. You're now offline. You're in your car, you're driving up to the property. Curb appeal, huge. If your property does not have great landscaping, fresh paint, great clubhouse, great pool, cabanas, barbecues, if it doesn't have what people are looking for out there, they're just gonna keep driving. They're gonna go to the next property that's down the street, that's 5 miles away. It doesn't matter. If that property doesn't have what they're looking for, they're gonna move on. So, Travis just mentioned the branding from the start, the point that you get online to look for an apartment, it takes you all the way into the car. And I'm telling you, be best friends with your maintenance supervisor because they're gonna make or break you. The landscaping, okay? They are so crucial to your property when it comes to people wanting to invest into a rent at the property. So now I'm gonna segue right over here.
Yeah, and to go off of what Stacy was saying, we sell them on an idea, we bring them in the door, they're now part of our community. We now have to make good on our promises, right? And that's probably the most important thing, and probably the thing we think about least often. We're always worried about our leases, our renewals, all of that important piece, and that is obviously a very important piece. But we need to now deliver on the promises to create the right experiences, right? And so I think it comes down to ensuring that, again, every touch point we have with them, when they come into the office, when they're being engaging with a maintenance supervisor, whoever it is, we need to make sure that we're delivering on the promises and that we exceed those expectations, right? Because the best thing that you can get as an owner, as an operator, is for your residents to give referrals. And Mike was actually telling us at lunch today that he referred 9 people who ended up moving into one of our properties. So he's going to get a bonus for that later. But that's the most important, that's the best reflection you can get on the work that you're doing is those referrals. So making sure you're following through on those promises.
And is that something that, any of you, that you see yourself kind of applying back into your marketing as you see the experiences that are truly impacting residents, that you actually bring that back into the website, the advertising, the leasing experience? Like, what does that full cycle look like?
Yeah, I think for Wasatch, one of the things that we learned early on was a 3-hour service request. We wanted to be better than a 24-hour service request. No one with a broken sink or a leaky pipe wants to wait a whole day to get that fixed. And so what we did is, our founder, Deloy, created a 3-hour service request where we addressed their needs within a 3-hour time period. And in fact, we address them usually within that first hour. And that has changed our business significantly. And so through those learnings, through those insights, through that testing of this theory, we've now learned that that's really put us ahead of the game when it comes to service.
I have something we launched actually during that bad word of COVID, but it was called Coronade. And it was a form that our residents could fill out, and they would actually get rental assistance from a property level, not from a government level, from a local level. And actually that increased our renewals at the end of the year. Once COVID, 2020, 2021, we've seen a lot more renewals because they were really appreciative of what the management, what the ownership group actually implemented to help them out during rough times. And ironically, I was asking our asset management team, I said, what's our average duration on a resident or a lease? And they said, right now it's about 2.5 years, which actually I thought that was pretty good. So I found that interesting. But yeah, just implementing and actually coming up with creative ideas to keep your residents happy during times like that and being like the leader, the forefront thinker for them. So.
Yeah, and I think it's really even diving further into like consistent resident engagement, consistency. We're getting away from the pizza parties, the grab and go breakfast burrito. It's creating something that's going to be more consistent, but also something that's going to really create a sense of community, right?
Can I jump on to one of Stacey's points? So I love the point that you made about what we would call lifetime value, right, of a resident. It's something that we've been really focusing on and seeing what is the lifetime value. As marketers, we get a really bad rap for just wanting to spend a hell of a lot of money, right?
Yeah.
And our owners, our operators are like, quit spending all the money, quit spending all the money. Are you kidding me? I'd love to spend more. But one of the things we can do to show our value as marketers that we see in a lot of other industries, and I'm starting to see more and more in this industry, is where are we saving on costs, right? If we look at that 2.5-year term that a resident is living on one of our communities, I'm having to spend less on those lead costs. I'm going to spend less and less on getting them in as a new resident. But what are the things, again, it's so important once they're on property that are making them stay. It is through your curb appeal. It is through those consistent touch points. But I think sometimes we forget to show what is our cost savings. How long can we keep these people here? Now, there's a cycle where we don't want people to stay there forever, right, with rent increases and whatnot as well. So there's, a fine line you have to ride. But I do think there's some benefit to look at in what ways in marketing are we also saving on costs and adding to that bottom line.
Can I add on to that too? Signage. This drives me nuts. When we go to buy a property and they put their logo on every single building sign, leasing sign, parking sign. Like, come on, just put it on like your clubhouse, whatever it is. But that, when we look to buy properties, I'm factoring in that signage cost when we have to go and do a full rebrand, right? I'm like, oh, geez, that's going to be an extra $30,000 to do this extra signage. So if you're a developer out there, architect, just do, make it look nice, but don't put your logo on every single thing because I'm looking at that on the budget.
Yep. My favorite one is when they do it and you have to change the name and it's a full-blown like $80,000 signage package. Yeah.
So things like that. Yeah.
So one of the big things that I think we've all experienced throughout the pandemic was this rise of social responsibility. And one of the big, I'd call them tone setters in the industry is Larry Fink. He's the CEO and chairman of BlackRock. And what they do from a technology investment standpoint really sets the tone for what other types of funds tend to do. And I wanted just to kind of highlight a quote he made, but I'll tell you a quick story first. So in 2018, he sent out his shareholder letter, and he made a commitment in 2018, but by the end of 2020, they were going to be 100% ESG compliant across their entire portfolio, billions of dollars of technology and real estate. And this past year, when they did a recap, they highlighted that in 2020, we completed our goal of having 100% of our active and advisory portfolios ESG integrated. ESG stands for environmental, social, and governance. And I think about this as a marketer. There's so much we do to tell stories and to anchor our residents into what's going on that's good. And I'd love to start with you, Stacy.
Sure.
What are you doing and seeing work as it relates to investing in ESG and philanthropy?
Sure. I'm going to actually start with the philanthropic angle. It stemmed from about 6 years ago. Passco started a program called Passco Gives Back, where all the employees have a say-so in which charities we give money to. We have a matching program as well as a corporate funding program, and we support charities throughout the entire U.S. So I thought, well, why are we just doing this at a corporate level? Can't we do this at a community property level as well? So we started this with a property we have in San Antonio, and we partnered with a local charity. And the one thing, another thing that it drives me crazy, and we have probably 98% of our portfolio has the floor plans listed as A, B, C, 1, 2, 3, drives me nuts. So I'm actually in the process of launching this across our portfolio, but it's called Living with a Purpose, partnering with a local charity group and finding out what they're passionate about, what they support, and actually naming our buildings after these local heroes in the community. And on top of doing that, number one, it gives a resident a purpose, right? We're living at a building that has a meaning. And the leasing office has a story to tell when these people come to visit the property. On top of that, we actually give back by supporting their community and philanthropic events at the nonprofit. So if they have walks, if they have runs, if they have volunteer hours that are needed, we actually encourage our residents to participate in those. So that's my goal across our entire portfolios, to do this launch of Living with a Purpose and getting our communities involved and renaming, I know it's another expense, all of our floor plans, but that is something that we're very passionate about.
Travis, I'd love to hear from you. I know in your past life, you had a lot in this realm, and I'm curious what your take is here as well as in terms of what you've seen work or what you've witnessed others do.
Yeah, and I think there's an opportunity to really take things past the corporate level, right, and lead it into the resident experience. And something I was able to do in my past career at Waterton was we did a really large Pride Month campaign. We ordered 30,000 Pride Month Waterton Love Lives Here t-shirts. We sent them out to all of our communities. We ordered stickers, welcome, everyone's welcome here, Love Lives Here campaign stickers that we put on all of our leasing doors that really showcase that this is a welcome and open space for anyone. Doesn't matter your race, doesn't matter your pronouns, doesn't matter your gender, right? And I think it's stuff like that that really enhances that customer, or the resident experience too, that bleeds down from the corporate level. We've done it for Juneteenth, right? We had Juneteenth celebrations on site at all of our leasing offices as well. And it's just stuff that I think we can start pushing down further to the community level.
I think with ESG, it's really interesting because it has come to light more recently, especially on the recruiting side. I know a lot of our recruiting efforts, our recruits want to know, what are you doing here? I think it's kind of sad that only the last little bit we've been focused on this. At Wasatch, we are totally ingrained into the communities that we live, we work, and that we serve. And so I think being authentic in the programs that you're providing within your communities, I love how you're doing that on a local level. Stacy, I've had the opportunity and currently have the opportunity to sit on a few nonprofit boards, and I kept hearing this, we need to tell the story, we need to tell the story, we need to tell the story. And it just wasn't sitting well with me. I didn't like that terminology, and in marketing you hear it a lot. Let's tell the story, what's the story, right? And it's like, oh gosh, that again. Stories have an end. So I don't love telling stories. I love building stories, right? And become story builders as marketers, not storytellers. I think ESG, it fits perfectly because when you're making an impact, sometimes we do this drop in the bucket and we move on to the next thing. If we're truly making a difference, and if we truly want to help the communities in which we live and serve and in which we operate, we need to make sure we're continually building on those stories, continually looking for the next thing to do. And so I would challenge everyone here as a marketer to stop being a storyteller and be a story builder, because that does not have an end.
One of the things that stands out as you all talked just now is that marketing, lifecycle marketing, today's topic, a lot of what we just talked about was much bigger than demand generation or resident retention. That effort probably impacts your recruiting. It probably impacts your employee retention. What kind of tertiary benefits are you all seeing as you do these kinds of things at the community local level, doing good for your employee base as well as your residents?
Yeah, I mean, after we did our Love Lives Here campaign, it was spread through LinkedIn, social, and the recruiting team started to reach out to the marketing team, and they're like, people are actually, like, they want to work here. Like, you're actually stating something that resonates with them, right? And I think there's so many companies that get a little scared and a little black and white to push that out, but it's really resonating with people, and it shows that we're humans, right? So, I mean, I think that was a big piece that really showcased that these campaigns do work, not only for our residents, but for recruiting talent, for what the image of our company and our culture is.
I'll chime into that. This happened last week. We just had a new hire who just moved to my town, and our company sponsors the Little League. 2 banners are out on the field. She does her morning walks every morning. She had already gone through the interview process with Passco, and she walked by and went, oh, Passco, they support a youth activity, And so she came to me and said, that banner is the reason I'm here. She said, because you guys are community minded and you're giving back. And that, it resonated at a corporate level, but then that's why it always has to start corporate down at your properties. As long as everybody has that same mindset, it's going to relate and it's going to translate to your residents. And then to get them to stay, they're going to tell their friends about it. They're going to be putting it on social media. We all know how big social media is. So it's a trickle-down effect. And passion. If you have passion, everybody's going to see it. If you're passionate about where you live, if you're passionate about where you work, I have to say that word is probably the biggest word I could ever come up with, is passion. Because everyone sees it. You can see the energy up here. I feel like we're just wanting to jump out of our seats because we're passionate about what we do. And if you're passionate, people will believe whatever you put out there, right?
So I want to spend some time talking about the things that we're doing to intentionally impact both prospects and residents, not separating our efforts, but really integrating them. And I did a little poll on just my LinkedIn profile just to start a conversation. What are some areas you're investing in that benefit both lead gen and resident retention? And no surprises here, but it was interesting to see, a blend of amenities, lots of people in the comments talking about maintenance, which really dovetails into this, a buddy out here named Eden supplied some data and found that the biggest impact on property reviews far and away was maintenance, which goes right back to what you were saying, Stacy. But I'd love to have a really focused conversation here. What are your marketing teams, probably your teams more broadly than just marketing, doing to impact both prospects and residents alike? And Kainoa, you already gave away kind of part of your story on the 3-hour KPI, but...
Yeah, I think a lot of it is just listening to the residents, right? Through surveys, through conversation, to being with your teams and finding out what are the residents talking about to learn what areas are pressure points, right? Growth happens at pressure points, at stress points. And so figuring out, being a problem solver at those stress points is what makes you truly innovative, I think, as a marketer in being able to drive results. And so for us, like I said, that 3-hour service request for us was, okay, that was a little scary, I'm sure. Kitty can talk more about that because she was there through the whole process. I came in when it was working well. So I cheated a little bit. But, maintenance being so important, we saw a need to say, okay, how do we make it even better? How do we stand out? Well, 3 hours is really fast. Can our teams do this? So we had to change a lot of processes and systems to tweak what the standard was in the industry for us at the time. And so I think looking for those stress points for us is where we really find growth and opportunity, both as a selling point to a prospect coming into our community, as well as retaining residents for renewals.
You go next one.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think something that marketing can't be done behind a computer screen, right? We have to be getting on site, we have to be doing our research, and something that my team's been doing specifically, anytime we're developing, anytime we're acquiring a new deal, we're going out there, we're touring the comps, we're going to dinner, we're going to the bars, we're shopping in the area. We need to understand what the experience is, what the demographics like, and really the true sub-market. And I think it gets so much further away than just sitting behind your desk, working on your strategies, because you can't implement your strategies if you don't know how to implement it in the market that you need to speak to.
You guys both hit it right on the head, but I always have a saying, don't be a feature creature. Not everybody has the same wants or desires, whether it's where they live, the amenities that they use. So if you're out there touring somebody at a property, and let's say they don't like to swim, they don't know how to swim, don't spend 15 minutes at the pool. They're not gonna care. You might just lose your resident. So really getting to know your potential residents and your current residents by doing the surveys, by actually being visible to them. I think that's a big thing, is being able to see their community managers and people that work on site and having them accessible, I think is the biggest thing. Because when you're marketing, you have to know what to market. If you're not knowing who you're marketing to or what you're marketing, you might as well just throw that money away. So I'd say just knowing your audience and don't be a feature creature.
To that point though, Stacy, I really like how you said that, because as marketers, to me, one of the most exciting things about being a marketer is to unveil information, to unveil opportunity, and then to influence people into action. And we're the ones that hold that data, those analytics, right? We're at the cusp of the consumer telling us exactly what they want. And the biggest disservice I see in this industry and many others I've worked in is not giving the consumer exactly what they're asking for. They will tell you if dog parks are important. They will tell you if a pool is important. We supply that data to our operational teams. And so again, it comes down to that communication flow as well, is making sure we're giving people exactly what they're asking for. We don't have to guess. Technology, I mean, we're not even utilizing crazy technology, right? Technology is always evolving. And so with what we have today, through your websites, through the surveys that you're using, your consumers will tell you exactly what they want, and then it's up to us to now deliver on those.
Yeah.
So over lunch, we uncovered that Travis Block likes spicy margaritas. And we also uncovered that all three of you have very different backgrounds. Travis literally had grown up within the industry. Stacy came in as an executive after a long background in hospitality, and Kainoa literally knows Shaquille O'Neal. And I think a question I have for you, hopefully on behalf of the audience's help, is for someone who's newer to the industry and really wanting to codify the voice of residents into their marketing. Kainoa, let's start with you because you're the newest to the space. How are you actually going and grabbing that voice? Is it time on site? What does a survey look like? I'd love some practical advice.
Yeah, I mean, for us, there's so much value in being in front of your people, right? And so our teams are our most valuable asset. whenever I get to be in front of a group of our teams and our property management business, I always say, you are all we have, right? You are all we have in this space, and it's up to you to tell our story the right way. It's up to you to deliver our brand to this area, and that's a big responsibility. And so for me, it's really important, and I know for our team, it's important to get that feedback, to make phone calls, to be in front of our people as often as possible, and then to throw that against the data, right? I'm someone who, when I hear a few loud voices, I always say, okay, I'll hear those loud voices, but now let me put it against the data and analytics that I have to see where this really lands. And usually it's somewhere in the middle, right? And so I think a lot of it is through conversation, through being with your people.
I think all of us are very people-centric, even though we depend heavily on technology, but we all can't depend on technology alone. So I know what I personally do is I step outside of our industry, right? I don't just focus on the multifamily events. I go to bike shows, like mountain biking shows. I go to surf shows. I go to everything else that can bring insight from other parts of the community into our community, right? Because that's all lifestyle pieces, and multifamily is a lifestyle piece. If I'm visiting a different city, I literally will just go visit an apartment complex and shop it because I want to know what they're doing, what's hot in that market, and what might we want to bring into our communities. You know, we're unique. We actually have, we're an owner group we own, and we have kind of a higher level asset management. We have 10 different property management companies that we use. So marketing for us is challenging. We depend on the third party marketing a lot. We use their expertise. We get their local demographic knowledge. So we don't try to be the end all be all knowledge. We don't want to be that. We don't know how to do that. Like, we depend on you guys for that expertise. And I think that's the biggest thing is marketers leaning on other marketers for their knowledge, because nobody in here knows everything. We try to know it all, but we don't. And so lean on your peers. Like, think outside the box. That's my biggest thing is I'm a think outside the box person, down to the shirt that they told me not to take off. I was going to dress up, but they said keep the shirt on. I literally had this made yesterday, but you'll find out again at the end with the shambool and pop the top at 2:45 p.m. So I walked around with this shirt hoping to generate some buzz about our panel. So, you know, just thinking differently. That's the way we're all going to get ahead, is by not doing things the way they've always been done.
I genuinely couldn't agree anymore, right? Like, it's don't wimp out on experience. And I love to look at high fashion. And high fashion's not just selling a leather good, a piece of clothing. They're selling a lifestyle. They're selling an experience. And we sometimes forget multifamily, like, where you live is your lifestyle. Like, we're full-blown selling a lifestyle and experience. And focusing and honing in on that lifestyle piece is really no matter the asset class, right? A, B, C, and we tend to only see people focusing on A and B product, sometimes B, no one really touches C. There's so much value that you could still dive into by really pushing a brand, an experience, a lifestyle at each individual community. It's an emotional buy. When you're deciding to live or pick somewhere where you're gonna live, 50% of your income, right? 60% of your income, it has to speak to you and it has to resonate with you.
I know in my marketing career, I've been able to market some really cool products, from Sky Vodka to Samsung to tongue brushes, right? But there's nothing I've done that's more important than selling someone a home, right? And having them come into a home. It's one of the most important things. At the end of the day, we feel safe there. It's our safe haven. It's where we live, where we sleep, where our families create experiences and memories. And so one of the things when I was evaluating on whether to come into this industry was, can I get excited about this? And when I really saw what the value of a living experience and being part of a community was, I said, this is probably the most important thing I will ever market in my entire life. And I think when we put that importance and elevate this industry to what it really is, in providing one of the best products you can, then everything else kind of falls into place.
So we promised the audience that we would talk amenities today, so we got to get there. And so brass tacks for today, I think this is going to be probably a pretty tactical conversation, but I'd love to have a conversation about amenities, specifically the amenities you're investing in to bring people in versus the ones that you see really creating engagement. I'm not sure who wants to go first here. We've had a lot of conversation about it, but how are you tying amenities into your marketing strategy? Why don't we start with you, Stacy?
All right. I think amenities, that's the fun part, right? I think the amenities you can have a lot of fun with. And I'd say for us, we're looking at things that, number one, if they're not existing, I hate to say it, but are they going to bring revenue? Are they going to bring length to the lease term of our residents? So we do look at every little thing. The newest thing that I think is very popular out there right now is if you have a nice pool and you have cabanas, even if you don't have cabanas, put them in, use them as an extra rentable income, right? Mm-hmm. We have a property in Kentucky, of all places, that is, they have pool fight. They have fights over these cabanas. So we figured, you know what? You're going to start renting them now because we don't want to see this anymore. So now we're charging, it's very minimal. It's a $25 fee for a day. But you know what? Over time, that's going to generate some income. So think about that. If you guys have cabanas at your pools, and I learned this because, and this is going to go into our latter part, but down south, they have Broadstone. They've got Blue down in Laguna Niguel for those of you that are local. My girlfriend lives at one. So every year we do our fantasy football draft in the cabana. She rents it out, and she has shambles. Okay, this is going somewhere. And so I thought, you know what, there is something here. And so that has been my takeaway from her apartment complex is like, okay, everybody should be renting out their cabanas if they're not already. You do it at a hotel, right? What's different? Hospitality is hospitality. You translate it from a hotel to an apartment complex. So yeah, I'm going to leave with shambles are the best thing ever. And do not leave because we have a surprise.
Well, and we're even taking it one step further too, right? Like we're not only renting out these cabanas, but you get a 12-pack of White Claw, right? Like, so you're getting this, again, an experience. Why should we be living here? And I think even like, my main markets are going to be urban markets. So we really heavily focus on making your life easier, the conveniences. Hello, Alfred, the prop tech pieces that are making everything easier, dog walking services, dry cleaning services. Those are the amenities that really speak and that we can translate into our marketing strategy because why would you want to live here? Because your life's easier living here specifically.
Yeah, for us, one of the things we recognized during COVID, obviously a lot of people got dogs. And so more of our properties had more dogs on property. And so as we are building new communities, we're actually installing dog potting areas at each level of each floor, which is really nice and convenient, right? And that's a huge amenity. It's being constructed right now and people are freaking out about it. Like, I don't have to go all the way down to ground level to let my dog out. If you get a new puppy, you know how hard that is, right? The other thing we've looked at is dog pooper scoopers. What's the biggest complaint on property? There's dog poop everywhere. Okay, well, we've contracted with a company that'll come and clean up every day, right? And let our maintenance teams focus on more important things. And so for us, we saw the need and we tried to innovate around that amenity.
And Stacy, I'm curious, going back to the ownership perspective of the life cycle of holding a property, does amenities come to play from your perspective when you're looking at a new property or anticipating what you're going to invest in, knowing how long you're going to hold it? I'm really curious on your take there.
We do. You know, I asked our acquisitions team, who's usually of course, the first on the ground, and then our due diligence team behind that. But when they go out and look, of course, they're looking at all of the amenities. If that property doesn't have what's new, with the best amenities, you know, we had our pre-panel call and I pulled up an old offering memorandum from 10 years ago. And I compared the amenity package on that versus one that we're acquiring this week. And I was laughing my head off because they used to have tanning salons and movie theaters were the hot points, right? Now you're like tanning salon or a tanning bed. I mean, not tanning salon, tanning bed. And now you look at it, and if you don't have the smart locks, the Nest, some sort of thermostat system, if you don't have a bike storage, if you don't have cabanas, like there's so many different things. And then all of the tech components, everything has gone tech, as we all know. So we were talking, I'm like, you know what? It's the 3 C's. That's all what I keep hearing. It's canines, coffee, and computers, right? That's what you hear is like the high-end coffee station in the clubhouse. And then you have all these dog parks and dog washing stations and dog walkers. The other thing I'd say that we're missing, and I challenge one of you guys out there, if somebody in here already kind of has a system that can do it, but they need on-site nannies and on-site tutors, because that's what I see on a lot of those local, like next door Facebook sites. Everybody is looking for those 2 things. So whoever's out there and does that, I'd implement it.
Well, on this stage last year, Robert Gastiger, good friend, was on stage, and he said that the best thing about these conferences is that we all come together and we learn, and that the worst thing about them is we go home and we don't take anything back to the home office with us. And so we wanted to do right by the group and actually each just take one piece of actionable recommendation that folks can take back home. And again, this is on the landing page if you don't have a notebook. But Travis, should we start with you today?
Yeah, I've said it 1,000 times, but that top to bottom funnel experience, the brand consistency, the ensuring that everything from the minute you're getting targeted to the minute you're walking out the door is consistent, that's going to be that big piece that I feel everyone should be focusing on if you want to create and enhance your experiences.
I'd say my big takeaway is be community minded. Think about what your community wants and have it resonate with your residents and get them involved. The more involvement your residents have, the longer they're going to stay. And just be visible. Be visible.
For me, it goes back to a point I've already made, is be with your people, right? Meet people where they are. It's really hard to market when a lot of voices are trying to get attention. So being in front of your people, one of the things I try to do is every day talk to a manager at one of our properties. On my weekly roll-up reports, I see who's been doing really well, and I call them and congratulate them. And shockingly, it goes a long way. And so I think just making sure people know they're appreciated and that you're there listening to them as support organizations in marketing, there's nothing more important that we can do.
Okay, wait. We know you have something, right?
Oh, sure.
Mike might have a takeaway or two.
Yeah, I think my recommendation, I'm privileged to lead marketing at Rent Dynamics along with sales. And I would say that as marketers, it's easy to do things that are easy to measure. We do pay-per-click, we do remarketing, we do things that we're going to see a return to in 30 or 45 days. I think in marketing, there's a feel-good that comes with doing things that are hard to measure, whether that's community-minded experiences. I love branded swag. I love consuming good branded swag, but doing things that are hard to measure, I think, has a humongous flywheel effect on your employees, on the community that you're building, and investing in things that are hard to measure takes time, because it takes time to get that story. But I do think that's something that's super important. And how do we want to end this thing, Stacy? We've got two surprises for our audience.
All right, so we're going to do the first one. What should I do first?
Well, let's do shambles first.
Let's do shambles.
Shambles first?
Yeah.
All right. So has anybody in here had a shamble first? No? Okay, you kind of gathered what it is from my shirt, right? So champagne and Red Bull, but not the icky old Red Bull taste. Ugh. It's the summer edition flavored Red Bull with champagne. They're so good. So, but disclaimer, if anybody has heart problems, don't drink it, please. we don't want that to happen. And then secondly, go ahead.
Oh, you want me to do
Yeah,
it?
you go.
All right. We are going to have you, we took a picture of you in the beginning. We're going to have you take a picture of us in this session, and the best post, Wasatch is going to give you a $250 Amazon gift card.
And we'll match it. We'll match it.
Yeah.
Nice.
So that's $500.
$500, Sam.
$500.
That's not bad.
Get your cameras out. And wait, the way we're going to judge this, you guys have to hashtag Shambool. Okay? And it's Shambool, not Champbool. Okay?
Are we standing in the middle, or are we?
Let's stand up.
Okay.
Yeah. I got a cord coming out of me, though. All right. Who wants in on this? And you guys can. Whoa.
Are we opening LinkedIn, Instagram, Twitter?
Yeah.
Yeah. All the platforms.
All right,
Hang
get
on, let
together,
me put
guys.
this
Get
back
together.
I'm stuck.
You stuck?
Travis can hold
I
it.
can hold it
that's-
behind you.
So they had a question. Where do they post the photo? They got to know.
Oh.
LinkedIn, Instagram, or Twitter.
All right.
This feels weird.
It
$500.
does feel weird. We shouldn't have done that.
This is awesome.
You guys can do selfies too. Whatever you want. You can all say Shambool. You can paint it. I don't know. Do whatever you'd like. You guys are all marketing, so this is like this is a test right here.
Right? Best filter.
I'm seeing faraway angles. You guys got to get up, get different
guys have to
angles.
get
Don't get from this
This
Right?
is good. This is
Nobody
good.
wants extra
Whoever is
chins.
standing on the
Are we
table
done?
and gets the less double chins is going to win.
All right.
All right, and join us up front
Okay.
for Shambool.
Yeah, don't forget
Awesome.
your
Come on
Shambool
up
right here.
and join everybody for
Front
Shambool.
table.
Give them a round of applause, guys.
Oh.
Hey, guys.
Thank you, guys.
Great job, guys. Great job. We're gonna take a break.